Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Action Indoor Sports Toombul, where the final series of the 2019 National Indoor Cricket League continues. I'm Cameron Walter, and with me is Gary Lowe. What a match we have for you to conclude day one of the final series. It is the Strathpine Burras up against the Morphett Vale Sharks. Gary Lowe, good evening to you.
Good evening, Cameron, and good evening to you all wherever you're viewing. And you're absolutely right. It's going to be a belter. It's a wonderful way to finish off the first day of the NICL 2019 final series, indeed.
Why don't you take us through the two teams that will finish off what's been a great start to the tournament?
It'd be my pleasure. The Strathpine Burras, led by Cameron Boyce. There's a name that everyone knows. Ryan Dowse, Hamish Chapman, Chris Boyce, Stephen Shaw, Benjamin Armstrong, Aaron Roberts, and Sam Stead. Been calling him Sam Steed for years and years and years, but I've been advised that it's Stead, so we'll stick with that from now on.
Come on, Lowe.
Yeah, I know. I've only been umpiring and calling him for the last 20 years. For the Morphett Vale Sharks, Jamie Diner, Chris Russo, Ash Sampson, Josh Spall. One of the favourite names I love to say, those who listen to the Yellow Ball podcast would know this, I've said him a few times, Tyler Granger Balding, Jamie Henwood, Lachlan Ferguson, and Zach Reiki.
And the umpire for the game, riding the magic carpet, is Michael Guest from Queensland.
And can I say something about Michael Guest that I heard as well? So the umpires have national umpiring recognition points that they accumulate over time. I have been advised that umpire Guest is only 4 or 5 points away from being, outside of tournament director David Shepley, from being the most capped or the highest accumulated.
So he would overtake what, Jason Rhodes?
Yes.
Wow.
Now that's something.
4 points away. When will he get those 4 points up at this tournament?
No, so he gets 1 point for national recognition for this. Actually, I think it's 1.5 points for an NICL finals. And then a Masters is worth 1 point, a Juniors is worth 1 point, an Opens tournament is 1.5 points.
Right, so he's about 12 months.
Well, he's about to nick off away and do a international, and that's worth 2 points. So
by Masters next year, he should be right, you reckon?
Absolutely, and then he'll, outside of tournament director David Shepley, he'll be the highest umpire there is.
Well,
pretty cool.
That's why he's on the magic carpet, Lowe.
Yeah.
So congratulations to Guesty. Enough about the umpire, though. It's the Burras up against the Sharks. The Burras will be fielding. The Sharks are batting. It's Jamie Diner is on strike. His partner, Zach Reiki. And Stephen Shaw will open the bowling for the Burras. It's the final game of day one of the National Indoor Cricket League finals. Here we go. Oh, beaten outside off. Sharp start.
The interesting story about the Strathpine Burras, they actually drew with Victoria Point in a semi-final match at Ipswich just a couple of weeks ago. I think it was 88 all or something like that.
That's a great delivery. Well kept out there by Dina.
And they are a super red-hot fielding side. Absolutely sublime. I'd go as far to say that they'd have to be up there with one of the best sides for fielding in this competition.
And third ball safely negotiated there. And the Burras, of course, Lowe, we've mentioned a couple of times during the broadcast today, the only team here at the National Indoor Cricket League Final Series that aren't a championship side. Every other team here is here by virtue of winning their zone. The Burras, they're here by virtue of finishing second in southeast Queensland.
Well, come Sunday afternoon, there might be every single team that's won a championship, and they may very well be the National Indoor Cricket League champions for 2019.
What's happening here? The umpires come down off the stand. He's coming back up.
He's just doing a bit of leg work.
And one of the players had to duck back there, maybe have a look at the ball. Not sure what that was all about. Just some extra steps on the pedometer there for umpire Guest.
Yeah, he's an absolute Adonis. He loves his steps.
Ooh, back underway. Gee, that was tight. Yeah, the Burras going down to the Victoria Point Vipers in the Southeast Queensland final, but got some revenge against them earlier today, Lowe.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a funny old first day, I think, flicking around here. Some of the scores and some of the results have been quite out of this world. You're right, though. The Victoria Point Vipers in the grand final in the Southeast Queensland division Did defeat Strathpine 100-71, but those two teams are much more closely aligned than that. Big appeal, big appeal.
No interest from umpire Guest. First over comes to an end, just 2 runs from it. What an over it was from Steve Shaw. So you make the point, Lowy, you think that the Burras are a red-hot fielding side, so you would think that that sort of reduces par for the Sharks a little, does it? What do you think that they would consider a good score here?
Yeah, this is going to be more closely aligned to a national championship type score, I think. I mean, I'm ballparking around an 80. But, I mean, 80, I'll rephrase, 80 is where they would probably like to be and should be, but I think Strathpine will restrict them to much less than that, like a 65 or a 70. Because they, they really are right up there with the top fielders in this tournament. They're outstanding. Particularly Benjamin Armstrong there at first guard.
There are several other matches taking place right now. We'll update you as they progress. Of course, beyond that, our attention firmly on this matchup here on the show court. 2 to come in the over. Played well by Dina. It's been a rock-solid bat from South Australia for a number of years. Final ball, second over. Say no ball over the waist. Moves the score to 11 and 2 overs down. Thanks for your company. If you are just joining us, tuned in a little late, it's the Strathpine Burras from southeast Queensland up against the Morphett Vale Sharks from South Australia. It is the final series of the 2019 National Indoor Cricket League. I'm Cam Walter, and with me is Gary Lowe, and we're here from Action Indoor Sports Toombul, thanks to our broadcast partners, Sportscast Australia, always doing a sensational job. Bringing you the pictures here from Toombul, and shout out as well to the official ball supplier of this tournament, and indeed all of Cricket Australia's indoor tournaments, Burley Seacombe, the gold standard in indoor cricket ball. About to get back underway. Dina is on strike and hits the first delivery from Sam Stead for 2.
And I understand outside of yourself and myself in the commentary box this evening, we have a special guest that's coming in for a portion of tonight's match.
Yeah, current Australian coach Brenton Bryan will be joining us in the middle period, or joining you, Lowy. I might step out and freshen up.
Go into the powder room, mate, powder your nose, and come out looking your best.
Absolutely.
Freshen up.
But the current coach of the Australian men's team and the captain of the Australian 40 side. So he's got 2 international tours coming up. One to New Zealand for the Trans-Tasman, and then over to South Africa for the Masters. And gee, that ball just there missed the stumps by a whisker.
It did, and it was called no ball for an exclusion zone as well. And I'd love to see another replay of that. Our Sportscast partners will organise that. We saw it there, and I just want to talk the folks at home through about why that call is so damn good. So it's where the ball has passed or would have passed the batter, or where they strike it. So you can see the ball hasn't reached the striker yet, and Benjamin Armstrong, the number 8 on left of screen, has entered that exclusion zone. That is an extremely good umpiring decision by Michael Guest, because the correct call was made, and that's a tough call to make.
Well, Armstrong making it easy for him because he stepped into it. Often you see people leaping into it, which makes it very difficult to call, and more impressive when they call it. But that one was blatant. Foot in the circle.
Yeah, it was, and there's think of it at home, folks, like there's an invisible wall that's going up from those dots of that exclusion zone, so you can't have any of your arms or your legs or even the brim of your cap protruding into that exclusion zone area. Cam Walter, quite right, stepping inside it makes life a little bit easy for the official. But that's good. It's really, really good. And the reason and the rationale for that rule is just to have that separation between player and fielder. And Ben Armstrong still not overly impressed about what's going on. But it was the right call. It was a great call.
Hopefully he watches this back after the conclusion and sees that foot take a big dirty step into the exclusion zone before the crucial point that you identified there, Lowy.
And I think the question that's being asked, and Ben Armstrong's just nodding his head in agreement with an understanding, it's different to the rule for the back half court moving into the front half of the court. So with that, once the ball's released from the bowler, the back half of the fielders in the back court are able to enter into the front. However, the exclusion zone rule is different to that. It's when it's played at by the striker. So.
And the reason for that is for the reason the exclusion zone exists. It's to, as you say, to introduce that separation. Great shot there from Dina into the back court for four, excuse me. It's so that we're talking about the fielder being safe. So the batsman is free to play a full-blooded shot without risk of hitting a fielder. That's why that rule is different. It is about the fielder being away from the shot that's being played. Chris Boyce is bowling this the final over to the pair. It's been a good start. 2 runs from the first over, and they're up to 23 now, midway through the 4th. So impressive batting.
Yeah, it has been good. Again, 80's the pass score, a good score. I did say I think Strathpine might restrict them to 65, but at the moment, Morphett Vale proving me quite wrong, and good on them for doing so. As we do some maintenance work on the net that connects the Wacker and the Gabba, as it's known here at Action Indoor Sports Stadium's Toombul. Chris Boyce.
4 to come, 23 on the board. Shot from Dina. As comfortable as it gets.
They're a little bit difficult to tell apart, the Boyce twins, Cameron and Chris.
As twins often are.
Yes, it is. The best way I find to be able to tell them apart is the number on their playing jersey, but they don't often wear it. So that's Cameron with the ball in hand at the receiver position, and Chris bowling. Chris, a current Queensland Open men's player, played in the 2009 Indoor Cricket World Cup that was at Darra.
Yeah, certainly did. Yep. That was certainly one of the closest World Cups in recent memory. Australia of late have tended to dominate it, particularly in the final. But in that World Cup, they lost the major semi-final and had to win the prelim, and did so in very tight circumstances, and only won the final with about two or three balls to go. Very impressive performance from the Australian side in that final in tough conditions. But yeah, great World Cup that one was. And the women's division was no exception either. Very, very tight competition. 29 runs on the board for the opening pair for the Morphett Vale Sharks. That's a great start. Again, only 2 coming from the first over. They've taken 27 off the next 3 to get to 29. And if you, Lowy, are on the money about 80 odd being a great score against this team, then they're off to a flyer.
Yeah, they're out of the blocks, no doubt. Aaron Roberts to commence bowling. He's been around the Burras setup for a very long time.
Jamie Henwood and Chris Russo batting now for the Sharks. Seen a fair bit of Chris Russo. Has been was up in Canberra for a couple of years. Originally from, well, I'm not sure it was originally, but he's from country New South Wales, Dubbo. And here he is turning out from South Australian side. He played in the South Australian Open side for the last couple of years as well. Gee, that front court always flirting with that exclusion zone, aren't they, Lowy?
Yeah, they're right on that line there, and the umpire is all over it, but it's good that he set the standard early, the official, because if you don't set that standard, the players think that it's acceptable for them to be running in there and gallivanting around.
Oh, that almost stuck, didn't it?
I'm sure that he's got to that on the full, as in Chris Russo's hit that on the full.
Definitely Russo.
Russo. Yeah. Wasn't a bump ball or anything like that from your angle, was it, Cameron?
I thought it was up, but yeah. I'm wrong more often than not. Oi! Did he keep that foot in the crease?
Oh, I think so.
No, I said have to.
Oh, yes.
Not did he.
Indeed.
Oof. I'm not that wrong. All the time. It's up. Full safe. And 4 runs. So the Sharks are going to have a dip here. They might sense, or having watched the first couple of rounds anyway, that the Burras really are that fielding side that you speak of, and that they are. Oh well, there's an easy wicket, a gift really. And Burras make no mistake. They might realise that they need to really put some runs on the board here, and they're going to take it to them. You see that well and truly overcommitted there from Henwood. They're back to 1.
And you know what? Why wouldn't you? Like, we've discussed it in previous broadcasts as well. And if you're just joining us for the first time, we'll get you up to speed with the pools and how they work. So there's 5 teams in each pool, so you only play 4 games. Obviously, you play each team once. There's really no margin for error in terms of losing multiple games. You can possibly lose 1 because you need to finish top 1 or 2 in your pool. You can lose 1 and it's not ideal, but you can come back providing the amount of skins that you win. You lose 2, you're rolling the dice. You're rolling the dice big time. So why not come out here and push it? There's no comeback next week.
No.
You may as well go for it. And of course, the $10,000 prize that awaits the winner, $5,000 prize for the runners-up.
Yeah, and I mean that 5K. I mean, just get to the final, fellas. It's it's worth an appearance. So you're on the money. Every game's almost got to be played like it's a semi-final. They've got to throw everything at it.
Yeah, it's cruel, it's cutthroat, it's vicious, but that's the beauty of the National Indoor Cricket League. You know, you become champion in your division. As we said, the Strathpine side are the only side not to be champions, but there's 2 Queensland sides in, just due to the sheer numbers of their division. But you play a whole season just to get to this spot, and you've got to turn it on from ball 1 almost. It's not for the faint-hearted, that's for sure.
Two to come in the 6th over. Scoring pegged back a little courtesy of that wicket in the 1st. The 5th over, I should say. Oh, an opportunity there. Oh, diving Chris Russo gets back. Just have a look here on the replay. He was well and truly committed to it.
Yeah, I think the umpire had a bit of a look to see if the bat was up, or I think the blade was sticking up in the air, but certainly home quite safely. In good areas there by Ben Armstrong, really cramping him up. That ball's a little bit wider.
Know that in outdoor and international cricket, the rules change so that if your bat goes across the line and then bounces up, it's considered in.
Yeah.
Has that flowed through to indoor?
Not to my knowledge.
Yeah. So are there? I mean, the bottom line is it's saying the bat has to be on the ground behind the line for you to be in. Simple as that.
Yeah.
We'll check in now with the other game taking place now. Casey Stars up against the Eastern Shore Bombers. Casey Stars batting first, 37 runs on the board. You can watch that game on our other live stream, sans commentary, but all the action, again, brought to you thanks to our broadcast partners, Sportscast Australia. We'll keep you up to date with that.
How good from Sportscast. I love that, Cameron. I love that.
A dot ball to start here. The other game's taking place right now, not on the stream. Mackay Magic up against the Conquerors. Mackay, 21 runs, batting first midway through the 6th over. Make that 16 runs. Another wicket has just fallen. And the Northcote Knights up against the Vic Point Vipers. They're wide there in this game. Northcote are batting first. They are on 42 midway through the 7th over.
And for those playing the home game, sans commentary means without commentary. So not everyone may be aware. It's French.
Okay.
Did you know?
Yes. Well, I'm the one that said it.
Yes, French.
I didn't realise I needed an interpreter for it, but maybe I do. Maybe I do.
Well, I don't know what the folks at home are doing, mate. But I know it's a bloody good way to spend your Friday night. I'll give you the hot tip. You can have all the action from the comfort of your living room or wherever you're located. That's the beauty of the live stream on any device.
Look out, Lowy. Another set of stumps has gone down.
You're kidding.
Rest in peace.
Throughout the day here at Action Indoor Sports Toombul, that non-striking set of stumps has been replaced. Now, how many times do you reckon, Cam? Well, at least 7.
Yeah, it'd have to be.
But I don't know what. Is it?
I think there were 3 replacements in a game.
Yeah.
That women's game, yeah. Oh, it happens. It happens.
It does, mate.
All right, ready to get back underway. 2 balls remain in the 7th over. And it's wide. Bowling a couple of these now. They're just creeping in. Makes it a little bit easier for this batting pair. Lost that early wicket. Haven't really been scoring freely since. 1 ball remains in the 7th over. Score not changed there, and 1 over remains for the pair. 13 runs on the board. Interesting little period coming up now in this over. We talked about 80 being par. We thought that first pair were really well and truly above par.
Yeah, for sure.
It's an opportunity here for the Burras to peg this pair back and undo the damage done by the first. Equally an opportunity for the Sharks to capitalise on that good start. Get a 20 plus here, put them on par for a score more likely to be in the 90s, even 3 figures.
Yeah, it looks like Ryan Dowse has got the ball in hand, and he just loves taking wickets as this guy. My apologies earlier on. I said that there was a semi-final between Strathpine and Victoria Point that was around the 80s that was tied. It was, in fact, 106, so I just want to clarify that. But, yeah, here, this is a big over.
So what happened in that semi if it was tied, or whoever was higher on the ladder?
Yeah, and there's I was there at Ipswich Indoor Sports and the crowd was bumper. It was, you couldn't hear yourself think. I don't think I've seen an indoor crowd like that in many years, and it was a brilliant game, and it was the Victoria Point Vipers that went through, and then ultimately later on the week after, the Burras beat the Dragons 93-51. Which met Victoria Point and Strathpine ultimately again in the final. And Victoria Point won their first ever championship, period. Mark Hines, playing for the Victoria Point Vipers, has been playing for about 20 years, has never won. He's won state championships, Australian titles, the whole works, has never tasted victory at a club level.
Oh, that's good. Good for him. There he is over on the other court bowling now. Old horse.
And he got a mention on Fox Sports.
Did he?
Yes. One of the... it was on Bill and Boz. I think it's a soccer type segment or some kind of sports segment. And they had a guest, a commentator come in who knew Mark Hines through school.
Right.
And talked about him as an indoor cricketer.
There you go. 2 to come in the final over to this pair. They've made their way to 17. A little chance there. A diving Chris Russo is home. And, well, they've done well here. Within 2 runs of 20. Final ball, an important delivery here for both sides.
And then coming up after this, Excitement Central will watch this one go through. It's tucked around the corner for no run. 47 the total.
Well, there it is. It's probably back on even terms now after that partnership, ladies and gentlemen. The National Indoor Cricket League final series continues live from Action Indoor Sports Toombul. Thanks so much for your company. I'm Cameron Walter, and I'm with Gary Lowe. But Lowy, I'm going to hand the anchor roll over to you for the next little period.
Hand it over. It's hot, mate. It's hot.
It's hot.
Louise.
And you might as well reintroduce our special guest.
Yes, our special guest, Brenton Bryan. He's the coach of the Australian Open men's side. So I think in terms, I think the Prime Minister's the #1 most important person in the country, and then the captain of the outdoor men's side, and then the coach of the indoor side, Brenton Bryan, 3rd in the list. Welcome to the broadcast.
What an introduction. How can I be unhappy with that? Good evening, everybody.
And, well, we've got a real massive game on our hands here at the moment. If you've just joined the broadcast, it's Morphett Vale Sharks taking on the Strathpine Burras. as we see a false start there. Ball not being bowled, coming out of the hand from Cameron Boyce, the captain. And we're here at Action Indoor Sports Toombul, and it looks an absolute picture. So congratulations to you and the team.
Yeah, thanks very much. It's been a bit of work to get the centre up to scratch, get everything ready for the NICL final series. We're very excited to be hosting it here. And there's some extremely exciting talent on display, as we would have expected.
Yeah, well, we're talking, Cameron Walter and myself, about the standard of this Strathpine Burras side. You'd be very aware of their skill set. Gee, they're red hot in the field, aren't they?
Yeah, very, very tidy fielding and bowling team. Worked to their plans very well. They've had a really good season. Went through most of the season undefeated. I think they got beaten by the Vipers once. I think that might have been their only loss. And then they had a draw. You've probably been through all this, but they had a draw in the semi-final. And the Vipers went through because they were higher on the ladder, and then they played each other in the final just last Saturday night, and the Vipers got up and won that final. So it was a really exciting season, and yeah, the Burras are certainly one of the teams to look at this weekend.
Well, Cameron Boyce, he is the captain. He is the man bowling, the current Melbourne Renegades BBL superstar. Also plays in the Queensland Open men's side. Tasted victory earlier on this year in Casey. Brenton Bryan, the coach of that team too. Might get a little bit of insight from Brenton as the night unfolds in regards to that. Third ball opportunity, last ball of the ninth over. And only barely navigated through, my goodness. The score moves to 50. Brenton Bryan, in terms of a pass score, where do you kind of see that Morphett Vale need to be at the end of 16 overs?
Yeah, look, I think that old adage of 25 a pair, having the triple figures up there is probably 6 ball over cricket. I think that's really the benchmark for most of these teams. I think they want to get to that 100. Said that on the call the other night in the grand final between the Burras and the Vipers, and it ended up being a pretty good score. So I think Strathpine will be trying to keep them as little or as much as they can under the 100 mark, and I think Morphett Vale will be looking to get to that triple figures, and anything above that will be a bonus, I think.
Yeah, and we were talking about it prior to entering the commentary box, that scores up around that 80 or 100, certainly achievable with this Strathpine side, though. That's going to throw the spanner in the works to see if Morphett Vale can get there.
Yeah, look, I think anytime the batting team that bats first gets that triple figures on the board, it's always that scoreboard pressure for the team batting second to build to a point where they put that last pair in a position to win. Certainly from a coaching point of view, that's what you're asking your team when they're chasing a decent total. And the Burras have got a pretty talented batting lineup as well, but I think they'll try and take advantage with the ball. As you said, they're a very fine bowling and fielding team, and they'll try and take advantage of that and try and keep the score as low under 100 as they possibly can.
And while we've got access to your insights, the Australian Open men's side will be travelling away sometime very shortly.
Yeah, we travel away not Monday coming, but the following Monday. We head over to New Zealand to combat the Kiwis in the 5-test Trans-Tasman series, and the boys are looking forward to that. It's going to be a massive test, playing New Zealand in their backyard. They've got a new coach in Lee Kelly, who's played probably one of the most capped and revered New Zealand players, and he's now taken the reins as their head coach, and I think that's going to make a big difference for them. And he's picked a pretty good side. He's picked some youth, some guys that have come through their 21 system, and some old heads to keep the ship steered in the right direction. So I'm under no disillusion that it'll be a very tough tour for us, and I'm really looking forward to see how we go. That's a good out.
Yeah, it is a very good out. Josh Spall being caught short of his ground there. Morphett Vale batting partnership moves back down to 4, and you've mentioned that they've brought in some of the New Zealand 21 sides. Previous to your appointment as the Australian Open men's head coach, you were the 21s coach, so you'll have some degree of insight about a couple of those players, perhaps?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got to see a few of those guys in action in Dubai in the World Cup, the previous World Cup, and a lot of talent. They've definitely got another wicket. Good out. Yeah, they've got a lot of talent coming through the ranks, and the challenge is when the coaching staff are confident enough to bring those young guys through and test them at the highest level. So it'll be a great test for both teams leading into next year's World Cup, and that's really what I think both of us have gone with, Lee Kelly and myself.
Yeah.
We need to test some of these players and see where they're at so we can put a full-on assault for the World Cup next year.
And that's quite right. You know, the Trans-Tasman, obviously, you want to win that. You're not going over there just for practice or for the fun of it. But it is really a litmus test where both sides are at coming into a very hotly contested World Cup next year.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, I expect at Nationals next year, a lot of players will be available. Sometimes for some of these
They
middle
come out of the woodwork, don't they, mate?
Yeah,
Umpires, players. Whenever it's a World Cup year, mate, you'll have so many people.
Yeah, so much on the line for a lot of players and everybody involved. So yeah, definitely looks like Chris Boyce has had an injury there. He's given the signal of no good, so he's maybe popped one of his fingers out, so he doesn't look too comfortable. He's not happy at all. So he's not. He's been a keeper for a long time, and he's not one to complain when things aren't slightly awry. But he's certainly in a bit of discomfort out there.
He has 2 minutes to recover from his injury, and I think he'll take the full 2 minutes of it. There is a discussion there with umpire Guest, though, so they might be considering their options here, the Burras.
It doesn't look good, and I watched him keep in the previous game, and he's been doing some pretty spectacular things behind the stumps. He's been very impressive, so it'll be a massive blow for the Burras if he ends up not being able to not only play but not keep, because he's a massive part of them.
Rules lesson here with Strathpine. He's coming off as well, so this is going to be very interesting. If a new player comes on, and it does look like he is, and Boyce is quite upset, so I'm pretty sure that they're going to bring on another Strathpine Burras player, which means that he will no longer partake in this game. If another Strathpine player comes on the court, Brenton Bryan's got and help me out, mate. Brenton Bryan.
Brian.
It is?
Yeah,
okay,
we
good.
lost the O somewhere, but yeah, it's definitely Brian.
Yeah, good,
Thank you.
because that's what I've been saying. And then someone threw a spanner in the works and said Brenton Breen. I'm like, why wouldn't you call him Brenton Bryan for as long as I've known him? I'll actually call you Skip for as long as I've ever known you.
Yeah,
But,
well, that's it.
so who's come on there? Because there's 8 players. I think it's, is it the 28th that's skipped on?
Yes.
It is. So that's Harry Tonks.
Harry Tonks, yep.
So Harry Tonks has taken the court. So what that means moving forward is that Boyce of the 16 variety, it was Chris,
Yep.
will no longer be a part of this game. So I'm pretty sure I've got my Boyces right. Cameron's still out there, the
Yep, spot
13.
on, spot on.
Now, I'm not too sure how many overs Chris has bowled. He may have bowled his 2, he may have bowled his 1.
Yeah, I'm not sure. He would have at least bowled 1. He typically bowls one of the last overs to the pair, so I'm sure he's bowled at least 1.
And usually he's someone that you might... Yes, he's definitely bowled at least 1. I don't recall him bowling his 2nd, so if that's the case, the fielding side will choose a bowler to bowl again, and the fielding side can decide whether that bowler bowls in the 13th, 14th, 15th or the 16th over. It's the discretion of the fielding side.
Trouble here. That's out. Good fielding. It's a big presence up the front there, Benny Armstrong. He's been around for a while, and he certainly makes it very hard for the batsman to not only get the ball past him, but he creates some really good traffic in the middle, as we saw there.
Yeah, he is a wall, isn't he? He's a very hard man to get it past, and been playing for a very long time. Started off with the Kawana Crows on the Sunshine Coast back in the day, for those that might remember.
Yep. Sure did. He played here at Toombul as well for a couple of seasons, and he's played out at Strathpine, and last season he was at Caboolture. And
yes, he was, in fact. Yes.
Very good friends with the Boyce brothers, and they all went over to Strathpine this year, and he decided to join them there as well.
Oh, smart bit of play. Brenton Bryan, do you want to talk us through what's just happened there on court?
Yeah, well, it looks like the non-striker's held his ground, and really good piece of fielding. But unfortunately, the message didn't get through to the fielder quick enough, and the batsman managed to get through for a single. So a lot of excitement for 1 run.
Yeah, it was. It was action aplenty as we see this batting partnership move down to -1. Now, I must be very open and transparent with you. We weren't 100% in agreement with the total pass score prior to you coming on the broadcast. I said 80, but I thought that the Strathpine side might restrict the Sharks to maybe possibly a 65.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you've done this a lot more.
Now, I reckon that's...
Sounds like you might be on the money
I
here.
reckon I've just gotten a bit lucky, mate. I'll tell you what, because you've played more games of indoor cricket than I've had hot dinners. But, you know, it's going to be an interesting game. There's no doubt about it. And the thing is, in a men's competition, low scores can be defended. You've seen that 1,000 times over. You know better than anyone else.
Yeah, well, we look at the national final this year, playing Victoria down there. They hit 50-odd batting first, and we only hit 70-something chasing it. So, you know, with the the size of the courts down there and the scores during the week, I probably wouldn't have picked a final to, for both teams not to hit more than 120 runs. So, you're right. Anything can happen in these games. They seem to just be chipping away the Morphett Vale Sharks. They seem to be trying to build their score, put that last pair in a position to perhaps build that score to that 80 mark that you mentioned. And that'll be challenging enough. As you say, the Burras now are one batsman down, so a batsman will have to be picked by the Sharks. That's right, isn't it?
That is correct.
So
yes.
yeah, I think that might change the complexion of the game somewhat, but that'll put a little bit more onus on those first three pairs to come out and put the game beyond doubt before that last pair comes in. Darcy's bowling pretty well. He had a really good game in the last game, bowled particularly well. About to go away with the Australian team next week, so I'm glad to see that he's playing well.
Yeah, and on behalf of the entire country, we wish you and the squad all the very best of luck. I know all of us back here across the ditch will be tuning in with bated breath, and I'll certainly be having a bowl of popcorn and a couple of frothies in my living room, and I always live stream it up onto my telly, put it on my iPad and mirror it onto my television, and it's going to be brilliant. And on behalf of us all, we wish you the very, very best.
Thank you very much. I'd love to be in the same position you are with a bowl of popcorn and a couple of frothies watching that, but I think I'll be a little bit too nervous to go down that path.
Mate, you've got a few more hairs to lose from your head in that time, mate. The stress levels would be going absolutely bunter, I'd imagine, and it's tricky for an Australian side going over there. Everybody just expects you to win, but it's not the case. No. It is not just that simple that Australia shows up and win. And I don't think anybody really completely understands the amount of work that goes in. Yeah. You poor bugger. Do you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, we're at a hiding to nothing. I mean,
it's a good way to put it.
The great previous coach in Ross Gregory's had such a sparkling run over a long period of time, and unfortunately for me and people beyond me, the law of averages is going to say that at some point we're not going to win.
Yeah.
So I'm obviously hoping that doesn't happen under my watch, but that's sport. Sometimes that happens, and at the end of the day, we go out there and give it our best. And up to this point, it's been enough. But you just never know. All the other countries are certainly getting a lot stronger, and we're under no illusion that we can't just turn up and win. The boys know that what I expect of them and what they've got to do. And invariably when they put that green and gold on, they tend to lift, as do the other countries when they put their uniforms on. So yeah, it's really hard to tell until we get there and play that first game and get an indication of really where we're at. It's hard to say how things are going to go. So good preparation from everyone, and we'll just give it our all and hope that we can carry on that very proud tradition that we've got.
And as we see the umpire just doing some play management out on the court, as you say about a very proud tradition that Australia has, and that feeling that comes with being a champion at a national level. I look across here at a very big advertising banner here for Cricket Australia that's available at Action Indoor Sports Stadium, and there's a chap there wearing an Australian jersey that's cheering a Masters World Cup triumph that looks extraordinarily like yourself.
It's a funny story. I actually, as you would expect, I've copped a little bit of a ribbing about that since I've been here this afternoon. Especially from players from other states that haven't been here before. But yeah, that was a bit of a stitch up from my previous business partner and Greg Donnelly, actually, who was running the advertising at that stage, part of that company. And literally a day before we had a national tournament here in 2011, they decided that it would be hilarious to put a photo of the guy that owns the centre up on a billboard, and there was two, so one's been taken down since, which I'm thankful for.
Probably in someone's living room, mate.
I don't think so. But yeah, they thought that was hilarious. So you can imagine that tournament. I got here for the first training session, and of course there's a banner with my not so elegant mug on it, and they thought it was hilarious. And of course, every time I got out, I got reminded quite often that how embarrassing it was to have a big photo of myself up there, and I was getting out. So, yeah, one of the great stories.
Well, there it is. I never knew that was the case. I just saw you up there because you had a pretty good-looking bonce, mate, but apparently that's not the case.
Yeah, the general consensus is that it's my centre, so I decided to put a big photo of myself up. But anyone that knows me knows that is certainly not the case. So Morphett Vale is starting to build a reasonable score now. I think that's Lockie Ferguson, is it? Batting last, number 6?
Yes, it is Lachlan Ferguson there at the non-striker's end, and I'm pretty sure it's Ash Sampson, but I might just reserve that until he turns around and shows me the number on his back, but I'm pretty sure that it is, and it is.
Yeah, nice fuller ball there, and he's put that one away. Aaron Roberts bowling for the Burras, and yeah, Lockie Ferguson's been around for a little while now through the junior system. I think he played perhaps his last year of 21s this year. I could be wrong there, but has represented Australia at 21s level at the Trans-Tasman at Port Macquarie a few years ago, and performed particularly well. Very young guy at that stage. He played opens that year and opened the batting with another young gentleman, and his name escapes me, Zach Reiki. Sorry, Zach, for forgetting you.
Yep.
And yeah, they were outstanding for South Australia, playing open men's, opening the batting that year, and both of them were selected in that side. And yeah, Lockie's been around for a while and very capable batsman, as I'm sure we'll see.
Well, it's going to be Ben Armstrong, apologies, to bowl his second over. And boy, oh boy, was he fast in that first one.
Yeah, Ben is very tricky bowler to face. He changes his pace quite well, but when he puts his effort ball in, it's quite sharp.
Now, I need to tread very carefully with the next words that are going to come out of my mouth, but he's absolutely nowhere near as quick as the next gentleman I'm about to say, but he's got a very similar build to him, and Mr. Corey Otto, who you might remember.
I do indeed.
All top body strength for those two chaps, I'll tell you what.
Yep, Corey was a very fun bowler to face. The worst thing about Corey and his brother Jay, when you played against them when they were playing for Caboolture back in the day, and I had the pleasure of playing against them and with them for a long time. Corey would bowl and he'd be sending through thunderbolts, right past your nose at 140 k's an hour, and Jay would catch it easily, walk in front of the batsman, so me for example, and scream out at Corey, bend your back, mate, what are you doing? Put some effort in.
Put your quicker one
as
in.
a batsman, you didn't see the one that just came, and then Jay's telling him to bowl faster. So yeah, they were fun times. But yeah, you're right. Both gentlemen have got a very strong upper half, and certainly use it to their advantage.
Mate, that could be out. There's a big long look. Not given out, and mate, I'd rather swim in a creek in the middle of midnight than face that, mate. There's a few things that are scary in life, and facing Corey Otto. And the skill set, and you're quite right, the skill set of Jay Otto to be able to wicket keep up to the stumps like that. In the outdoor format, you have the luxury of going back a few yards to wait for the ball to come through. In this format of the game, the fourth format of the game, you've just got to be good. Yeah. There's nowhere to hide.
Absolutely, and especially as a keeper, it's such a key role in teams, and to have keepers do it as well as they do in the indoor format, they certainly make it look a lot easier than what it is.
So with Ashley Sampson on strike, he's backing up too far. Oh.
And that's a perfect example of how much impact a keeper can have. Aaron Roberts filling in the shoes of Chris Boyce, which is not an easy job, and that was a very, very nice piece of wicket keeping.
Yeah, it was handy indeed, as we just saw the replay there on the screen. Lockie Ferguson just backing up a little bit too far, turning like the Queen Mary. Took him an eternity to get around, and by that stage, theplaycricket.com.au stumps were skittled, the bails were all over the place, and of course, if you're watching this broadcast and it's inspired and encouraged you to play indoor cricket, by all means head to playcricket.com.au, bash in your postcode. What's the postcode here at Toombul?
4012.
4012. You pump that little baby in, and you'll find yourself here at this centre, but there's a whole stack of others that you can find yourself at. Take the floor and play indoor indeed. We'd certainly love to have your company. All ages, abilities and genders. A sport for all is cricket as we get things underway here at Toombul. Chance if he hits it, needed to be direct. Hamish Chapman.
A very good fielder on the leg side line there, Hamish. Very good receiver as well. And when you've got Cam Boyce in the side, he's had to field in a different position. Very handy sweeper. Good bit of fielding. Oh, another chance. That was close. I think that was a lot closer than what it was. Lockie Ferguson having a little bit of a jog through. Stephen Shaw throwing the ball down to Dowsey at the keeper's end, and I reckon if it had a hit, I reckon umpire Guest might have had a difficult decision on his hands. Are any decisions difficult for Guesty?
No, he does it in his sleep. Very, very, very good official. Doesn't inject himself into the game when not required. Has a good rapport with the players, and a lot of the times good umpiring is good person management.
Absolutely. He's one of the best. He's good to deal with when you're out on the court, whether you're on the court or whether you're off the court. Barking orders at your team. He's always respectful and has a bit of a laugh and has a fairly high tolerance for some of the emotions that go on out there. And obviously being a player himself, he knows what it's all about out there. So he will give a little bit of leeway. But of course the umpires are very good at making sure that the games stay on track and nice and clean. And he's one of the best going around, that's for sure.
Can I ask you a question with that fielding there by Ben Armstrong, who superhumanly has got a hand to that, and I'm not even sure how because it was hit so fast. When you're fielding in that front court, are you watching the bat, or are you watching the batter, what they're doing? How do you read or preempt where that ball's going to be? What would be your recommendation to young cricketers out there?
I actually asked this question of one of the great fielders in second up in Alan Wilson, who we all may or may not know. Some of the younger people may not know him, but probably one of the best second up fielders or cover fielders, I think, is another terminology for it that I've ever seen. And Alan was a specialist in that area, and I asked him the same question when I was younger because it fascinated me that he could always be in the right position to get those touches. And he always said that the thing he watched was the bat, but also got to a point that he'd fielded in that position so often that he could actually read what the batsman was going to do by the batsman's body language.
Wow.
So he could see the batsman move in a certain way, and he'd watch them. So if they were backing back towards a leg stump, for example, he could see that the ball was going to come on his side, and he had lightning reflexes as well, which made it fantastic for him and fantastic for people to watch, especially when you weren't on his side. Sorry, when you were playing against him, it wasn't great, but when you were obviously watching, it was great. And he just said he watched the bat, and for some reason he was able to hit it, and to touch it. And a lot of guys like Benny Armstrong and that, it's just reflexes. Some of them have just got freakish reflexes to be able to get their hand up and sort of get the touches on those balls. But it's a lot of anticipation, and it's a lot of reading the ball off the bat, I think, is what a lot of them do.
Yeah, a lot of hours honing your craft, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And these players, it just astounds me, the athleticism of some of these guys and the abilities they've got. They move at the speed of 1,000 startled gazelles, some of them getting that Burley Seacombe indoor cricket ball. And, they're going to move to 3 onto the leg side here. So you'd expect to see a ball right up in that awkward hip area, and you don't. Gee, so battle plan for that one there if you've got 3 on leg side.
Yeah, look, I think Cam likes to make the batsman think as well. He's obviously a very high-level outdoor player, as we all know. Knows where he's bowling. I don't think I've ever seen a bowler in indoor cricket bowl so accurately. Sorry, let me rephrase that. A leg spin bowler bowl that accurately. I've seen a lot of leg spin bowlers over the years, but I had the pleasure of watching him bowl for a full tournament this year down at Casey Stadium, and it's just phenomenal. I think he may have bowled 1 bad ball the whole week. He certainly showed in his statistics, which I don't pay too much attention to, but certainly just watching him go about his business and how he sets batsmen up, and even in the indoor form, he's always thinking. He doesn't want to bowl the same ball twice. He'll change the field around to make the batsman think about what he's doing, and just trying to get them off their game slightly. So yeah, look, he's a quality bowler and just absolutely has full control of his craft, and it's great to watch. Just like that, he bowls around the wicket and he can spin the ball further. And I watched it through trainings and all that sort of stuff as well. And he'd be bowling the ball, maybe sitting up in the umpire stand watching, and he's bowled the ball, he'll change to around the wicket, bowl the ball really wide of the legs and spins the ball past the outside edge of the bat. And he's turning the ball half a metre, but then he'll bowl the next ball and I'll only turn a quarter of a metre. So he's just got such great control, changes his pace really well. And I mean, it's when someone's a professional cricketer like he is, I suppose it makes sense, but just to watch it firsthand is actually absolutely brilliant.
And it's something that I had a discussion with Clive Rose, and he spoke to the advocacy of exactly what you've just said then, particularly with changing delivery. He said you bowl 2 balls in the same spot the same way twice in indoor cricket, they'll pick up on that and they'll make you pay. So he was a really big subscriber to that theory as well. 76 here for the Morphett Vale Sharks. Is it enough? Are they winning? Are they losing? What's going on?
Look, it's, as you said, you kind of picked the pass score of 80. It's probably not a bad call. I've seen scores like this defended on these courts. They are pretty big courts, and the decks are a little bit flatter. So it's really going to come down to how the Sharks bowl. The Burras have certainly got the batting line up to be able to chase that, but pressure's a funny thing. The score's on the board, and I've seen better teams, or really great teams not be able to chase these types of scores. So, the Sharks will be happy that they've posted a score. They posted a reasonable score. And I think the first pair for the Burras will set the tone. And, it usually is Ryan Dowse and Aaron Roberts who will come out to bat first. That's the way that they've gone most of the season, unless they make a change. But they've got certainly a very strong batting lineup, and they'll rely on this first pair to get them off to a great start.
Well, all these wonderful images being brought to you by Sportscast, the official broadcast partner of the National Indoor Cricket League, and they've done all the national championships as well. They're doing a great job, so we certainly thank them for their ongoing commitment to indoor cricket. Burley, the official ball supplier of the National Indoor Cricket League, as Cameron Walter loves to say, the gold standard. Used all across the world, South Africa, New Zealand, Australia. It certainly is the premier indoor cricket ball, no doubt about it. And of course, it would be remiss of me if I didn't say you should listen to the Yellow Ball podcast to catch up on all your news in the indoor cricket world.
Absolutely.
Certainly on its way along. We might get Brenton Bryan Wallace here to do a quick whip around. There's some other games that are happening in this indoor cricket centre, and the punters on social media, they'd like to know what's going on. So perhaps as you get an opportunity in the next handful of overs, if you'd be so kind as to indulge us as we watch the first delivery of the second innings. Ryan Dowse on strike. Lockie Ferguson, sorry, my apologies, that is not Lachlan Ferguson, that's Ash Sampson from Morphett Vale, getting that one down leg side.
It looked like he sent that one down quite nicely. He hit the back net quite hard. So Sampson looks like he's got a little bit of pace. And Dowse doesn't mind the pace coming on the bat. Looked like that ball was swinging into Ryan, and he hits the ball quite well, Dowse. So it'll be a good challenge here. Moving over to the court to our right very quickly, Mackay Magic batted first, and they posted a total of 62 against the Conquerors, I think it is, from the ACT.
Correct.
And Conquerors have just gone out to start their batting innings, so they're 4 runs in the first over, chasing a total of 62. So that'll be a good chase for them. They've got some good experience and a little bit of youth, the Conquerors, and that should be, I would like to think that the Conquerors will win that one, but that'll be a good test for them. On the court on the other side, we've got the Northcote Knights.
Yep, Northcote Knights.
Hit 67 batting first against the Victoria Point Vipers, and the Victoria Point Vipers are into the third over of the first pair and only 4 runs. So just starting the third over there. So 67 should be a score that the Vipers chase, but as I say, pressure's a funny thing, and we'll see what happens there. Pretty low scores, Gary, for all 3 men's games.
It is, and there's the Casey Stars and the Eastern Shore Bombers from Tasmania as well.
There is, and I did forget about that game because that's behind us.
It is behind us, folks.
Looks like the Casey Stars posted a score of 92 batting first, and the Bombers, screen's just gone off, so I'll just wait for that to come up. But the Bombers are in the, what are they in, the 5th over now, so the first pair posted 22, chasing a score of 92.
So plenty of games in the balance. None more so than the one we're watching here at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be a good test. Pretty low scores on this side, the 3 games, all around the 70 mark. And then we've got a 92 posted behind us with the Casey Stars. So a lot of scores below that 100 mark that I was talking about. So I think you've got one up on me there.
Mate, even a broken watch is right twice a day, Skip. I wouldn't read too much into that, my friend.
Talking to a couple of players down here earlier when I got here this afternoon, just making my way around, saying hello to some good friends from other states, and general consensus is that the NICL is a fantastic concept. One of the things that one of the players said to me, one of the older players, to be honest, a guy that's going to come over to South Africa with me in a month or so's time, is that the spread of talent and the spread of the age of the talent from 15-year-olds all the way through to 45-year-olds. And that's just the beauty of the National Indoor Cricket League, isn't it?
Yeah.
We've got players of from all different centres, I suppose, and all different age groups all getting to play together and come here to the National Indoor Cricket League final series and test themselves against the best in the country. It's just fantastic.
Yeah, there really is nothing quite like it. There's a bit of a wayward throw there by Chris Russo.
Yep, saying had it in his fingertips there, so just letting the receiver know that he didn't mean that.
But it certainly is a different dynamic and a different environment here at the NICL final series compared to that of a national championship. So as I said, it doesn't make it any better or any worse, it just makes it different. And I love what it brings up. I love the idea that you can have someone like Mark Hines play for so many years for his beloved Victoria Point Vipers and then finally get his hands on a premiership trophy at the end of that, and now gets to find himself here. And, players, the Boyce twins have been playing for Strathpine forever and a day. Been representing their clubs with distinction for so many years, and to be able to come to this level is brilliant. And I couldn't agree with you more. To be able to have players from all varying ages, that obviously doesn't happen at a national championships. So I love the environment that's created due to the National Indoor Cricket League, and it's brilliant. And no one side can be too heavily stacked, of course, because of the point system as well.
That's right, yeah. And I think the biggest impact I've seen on the NICL in now the third year of this fantastic concept is the effect that it's had on a lot of the clubs. And what I mean by that is, we've now got A-grade teams or NICL teams that are out there training weekly. We've got guys that are willing to give up their time and coach. And what that does is it has a flow-on effect throughout the club, and all of a sudden the B-grade team are now training, and now the C-grade team are training, and it's just having a massive effect on the club. So all of a sudden the pinnacle of the club is to make that NICL team and then try and, build your way into that side, and it's having a really great ripple effect for a lot of the clubs. And I know here in Queensland, some of the standard of the grand finals that I got to witness last weekend for all the grades, all the masters grades and all of the other grades was just really good. A lot of games coming down to the last over, last ball, that sort of thing. So it's really good for everybody involved. Even people that don't get to play NICL, it has that great ripple effect.
Now the man who I first said was bowling first, Lachlan Ferguson, is in fact bowling. I did correct myself pretty quickly. But the Strathpine Burras, they are out of the gates. It's like we're at the Dapto Dogs. The lids have opened up. The Greyhounds bolted. The number 1 rug. It's off and around the bend. 21 here for the Strathpine Burras. And, you're quite right. I'm sure that's off the leg. There should be an appeal because they're indoor cricketers and it's not given out. But you're quite right. If you go back I'm not an old guy, but, back in the glory old days, you had a Colt side and, you had to fight hard to get into a C-grade side.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, if you wanted to be the top 8 guys in that indoor cricket centre, who could just order anyone around, by the way, because they were kings, right? Hey, Loey, go buy me a beer. Okay, no worries, yeah. Yes, sir. Exactly right. And that was also back in the days where, you'd go away as a Colt side, someone would drive the bus. If it was in Toombul, you'd stay up there for the night, and have a bit of goosebaggery and shenanigans later on that evening with the squad. And, it's similar-ish in terms of what it's trying to create, which is that competition within centres, which brings out the best in everyone.
Oh, and he's given that one out. Interesting to have a look at that one on the replay. Not questioning umpire guest's decision by any means, but it looked quite close. So have a quick look at that. Aaron Roberts backing up, had to get back. Oh, good decision. Good decision, Guesty. Never doubted you.
No, never. I always look to our broadcast partners, Sportscast, to see what they think. I always just have a bit of a sneaky look over. They're the unofficial third umpire, really.
I like watching the guys over there and they're actually calling it and putting the finger up and saying, yep, that was out.
No, they do a good job.
So, yeah, they're doing a fantastic job. What great coverage. How lucky are we, Loey, to have this type of coverage at this fantastic event.
Yeah, it's pretty special. Some of the images that are being broadcast, not only here in Australia, but right around the world. I know that there's folks from all 4 corners of the globe tuning in and watching, and Sportscast doing a sterling job, and we thank them again so much for their commitment to this format. And that's bashed out.
Yeah, he's good bat, Dowsey. Very good left-handed opening bat. Likes to hit the ball hard. Goes through a few bats. For people that know him, they know
Does
that.
he?
He is very hard on his bats. Hits the ground quite hard, as that one you just saw. He digs it out. Most of his bats have got a fair bit missing down on the toe, and he's a very good supporter of the bat manufacturers. He doesn't mind spending a bit of money on having a couple of spares because he knows how hard he can be on them. So,
well, whoever that particular bat manufacturer is, I'm absolutely sure that they're delighted that he's going through bats at a quick rate of knots.
Absolutely, absolutely. Great to watch him go about his business, and it'll be good to watch him go in New Zealand in a couple of weeks' time, test himself against a very good side in New Zealand, as we discussed before.
It's called a leg side, and let's not forget they're chasing his skin here, Brenton Bryan. 30 is to win it, and that wide doesn't help things if you're wearing a Morphett Vale Sharks jersey.
No, not the first ball of the last over. Gives them another 6 balls to still get those extra runs to try and get that skin. So they'll definitely be looking for a wicket here. And that's made it through. No, good fielding. Oh, turn that into a dot ball. So that was a good result there for Morphett Vale. Well, that might have snuck through, but the receiver got over to it and had a little bit of a fumble, and the batsman didn't run through. So no harm done. Himself a bit of room there outside off stump. Darcy could see what was being bowled at him and just punched that ball down and up for an easy 2. Plays that shot extremely well.
Well, Cameron Walter and myself have been discussing it in previous games, how so critically important each individual skin is in this NICL's final series. You only play the 4 games, so if you're not winning, you got to be taking, and you really can't afford to lose too many. No. You know, you lose 1, that's kind of okay. You lose 2, you're really rolling the dice, and you'll probably come up snake eyes. So you got to win, and taking those skins. If there's a few teams that do lose 2 together, you got to be picking up those skins to get into the top 2 of your pool. So
good shot. That made it. No, saved off the net. 1. Good shot there from Aaron Roberts, but Stevie doing really good work at the back stumps there.
And right in those last couple of deliveries, he's just saved that Aaron Roberts shot. I think it was Ryan Dowser's shot that was coming down, which they kept to a dot ball, and that could very well save them this skin. 25 there on total. They need 30 to win it.
Yep. Oh, he's turned a possible 2 into a dot there.
And I'm not sure what he mouthed, something about a fire truck. I'm not sure what it was, but I think he wasn't overly impressed with himself.
He might have just been giving his partner a little bit of encouragement to keep his eyes on him or something like that. Yeah, I think so. Last ball of this first pair. 5 runs to get the skin.
You wouldn't think he's going to go for it, or would put your coach's cap on for me. Would you endorse him to go for it?
In this situation, I'd be, not worrying about the skin and just not getting out. But he's got the skin.
Wow.
in the best possible fashion.
Bang, 7.
Sometimes the players just have a mind of their own, Gary.
Wow.
And they just do what seems natural, and Dowsey just rocked back and just punched that one for a 7.
And that's one of them ones, if he gets it, he comes off, you just tap him and say, mate, good job, good on you. If he doesn't, you say, mate, what are you doing? You should know better than going for that kind of stuff, mate. By the way, you're sitting on the pine next game.
That's good. Good finish.
Well.
Bit of a cheer downstairs from the Burras supporters. They got a bit of support here, as you would expect. Their centre's only up the road here from Toombul, so they have a lot of support here over the weekend, I'm sure.
Yeah, the vocal young locals, they're out in force and have seen a very strong Strathpine Burras contingent here, floating around. Sharon Reid and company. Sharon Reid's been there at Strathpine. My first ever job in life was at an indoor cricket centre, Ossport Strathpine on Cremzo Road.
Yep.
And I was vacuuming the courts and stocking shelves and umpiring indoor cricket as a 14-year-old.
Yeah, extremely important jobs.
Very important jobs indeed. And Sharon Reid was, she looked after me because Frank Hogan was my boss and he was a bit scary, but Sharon Reid
took you under her wing.
Took good care of me.
Very good.
She did.
Shaz has been around for a long time. Stalwart of the centre. Oh, that's a good shot. That's made it all the way to the back net. Stephen Shaw, I think, 5.
Yeah, it is Stephen Shaw, and out there is Boyce of the Cameron variety.
Yep, this pair will look to consolidate now. It's a really good start for the Burras in a chase of 76. And I think if this pair can consolidate and get 20 plus, they're really putting those last two pairs in a fantastic position to take the game.
And if we kind of cast our eyes forward a little bit, we look at the third skin should be comfortably picked up, you would hope. They're only chasing 6 for it. And the final 125's a little bit tricky. Do you have a bit of an interesting score update as I see you look over my right shoulder?
Yeah, I had a quick look at the Casey Stars and the Eastern Shore Bombers, and the Bombers hit 22 in the first skin and they've hit 38 in the second skin. So third skin coming in now, 60 runs, chasing a total of 92. So the Bombers doing very, very well over on the court behind us. The court to our left. Of course, the score flickered off as I needed to read it. Just perfect timing from me. 67 hit by the Northcote Knights,
Yep.
and the Victoria Point Vipers 37 in the 8th over. So they've got an over left in this pair. So they're going along just nicely. And on my right, the Mackay Magic 62 batting first, and the Conquerors from the ACT, first pair hitting 23. I'm just going into the second pair now, and that pair is on 4 runs, so 27 total in the 6th.
Well, to all the folks on the socials who are asking for the updates, a big thank you to Brent and Brian for providing that update. And you're heading across to South Africa at some stage for some individual, I won't say...
time on the court.
Yeah, time on the court.
Exactly.
Yes,
yeah,
it's obviously a part of the team, but actually getting out there, running around and wearing out the leather on your shoes. What can you tell me about your participation over there?
I've been lucky enough to be bestowed the honour of captaining the Australian over 40s team. So a couple of old boys running around that have been around for a while, and we'll go over there and give it our best to try and defend the title that we won in England a couple of years ago. So massively important series for us, going over to Cape Town. A lot of us haven't been to South Africa and to Cape Town, played down in that area. So, excuse me. So yeah,
you're getting emotional about it, mate. Look, I know you're right. It is a great honour to represent your country, but hold it in, mate.
I've got to hold it in. Just a bit of a croaky voice there, but yeah, look, very, very much looking forward to it. We've obviously got 5 Australian teams going over there in the 35s, 40s, 45s, and 50s in the men's, and the over 30 ladies. So 5 Aussie teams going over, hoping to come back with 5 winners' trophies. But we've got our work cut out for us. A lot of really good players coming through in the 35s, 40s, and every division really. So you know, we've got our work cut out. High altitudes, so very different playing conditions, and that'll be a good test for the elder statesmen that are going over there. So yeah, we're all really looking forward to it.
Yeah, we're certainly looking forward to seeing the outcome of that as well, and to the support staff that's taking care of those Masters players. They've got their work cut out for them. By the end of a week at Nationals, some of those players are held together by a bit of blue tack and some sticky tape.
Yep, so true, and most of the trainers need a week off after that, because they certainly earn their money when they're over there with the older age groups. So yeah, it should be a good tour.
No, it'll be brilliant. Must be a good feeling stepping on a plane with your team, all with your Australian shirts on, knowing that you're over there representing all of us.
Yeah, absolutely, massive honour for everybody involved, and yeah, getting on that plane with that shirt on. I don't think you feel any taller or more bulletproof. So yeah, it's a fantastic honour.
And it's pretty special that Cricket Australia allow the captain of those master sides to fly in business class. Have you heard about this?
I haven't, and I'm really pleased to hear about this. Thank you.
I may have just let slip. You might have to follow that one up with indoor cricket manager Brianna Binch. But
yeah, I kind of got a feeling I know what the answer to that one is, but I really appreciate what you're doing here. But I don't think
crowbarring it in, baby.
Yeah, that would be lovely, but no, I think not only would it be unfair, I don't think I'd hear the end of it for the rest of the tour, so perhaps it's better that I fly with the rest of my team and keep things on a level playing field.
Perhaps indeed. And, back here in Toombul, as we're talking about the illustrious travels of our national sides, we've got a game on right here in front of us. It's the wonderful Action Indoor Sports Stadium here in Toombul, which does look a picture. You can tell the team have put in a lot of hard work to get it up to speed, and we certainly do thank them for their hospitality every time that we come here to Toombul. They always are very gracious hosts. I know that Cameron Walter's has been enjoying your Chico rolls, mate. He's seagulled a couple of them. He's pretty keen on them.
Yeah, we got them in especially for
Is
Cam.
it the Cameron Walter
he's
Chico roll? Okay.
certainly not letting us down. So, doing a good job. But no, the staff have been brilliant. They've put in a lot of work. We've had some renovations completed recently, and centre manager Grant Macquarie and the team have done a fantastic job, and I can't thank them enough.
So just pulling out as Chris Russo's coming into bowl. Not content with a few things. It does allow Cameron Boyce to move across to the side of the court where there's only the one fielder.
Oh, that was so close. Chris Russo getting a touch on that, hit back to him, and just edged past the stumps.
We'll just watch this replay and see how close it was.
Oh, fantastic. Good bit of fielding. I always like this, leg spinner bowling to a leg spinner. So I love watching this sort of thing, and I watched Cam do it down at Casey, and it doesn't give him a lot of respect. I'll give him that. He doesn't look after his brothers.
No,
so
the leg spinners union's pretty savage, is it?
Yep, he had no sympathy for anybody bowling spin. So, and of course, when people took to him, which didn't happen often, to be honest, but when they did get away with it, did not enjoy that one bit.
No, he's a very competitive customer, as a lot of indoor cricketers are. That's going to be called good. He's not very happy with the call, but it's not where the wicketkeeper takes the ball. It's where the Burley Seacombe indoor cricket ball crosses that crease. So regardless of where the wicketkeeper takes it, that's the process. And really not happy with that. And so he says, I've had a gutful of this. I'm going to spank it. And he's pretty pumped up, his boys.
Yeah, he didn't like the call before. Didn't like that wide call. Thought it was wide. And as I say, saw the next ball floated up and gave it absolutely no respect and smashed it to the back net for a maximum.
Yeah, no respect. That's for Darren Shaw. 76 Morphett Vale, Strathpine Burras on at 65. We've got one more over with Brenton Bryan as Zachary Reiki will come in. Yes, it is Zach, the young man you were talking about earlier on with Lachlan Ferguson.
I didn't even recognise him. He's grown his hair quite a lot, so apologies, Zach.
In last year's National Indoor Cricket League, we watch this ball come down and, well, that's just placed with absolute precision. At Action Indoor Sports Salisbury, the Toombul Tigers 73 defeated the Macarthur Raptors 68. Can you provide some insight with what the Toombul Tigers might have got up to with that prize money? We seem to have thought that there could have been a bit of a celebration that evening and some of the money might have been contributed to it. Not all.
I actually don't know what the boys got up to. I know they did.
Right?
Yeah, I wasn't down there with them, so I didn't actually get a chance.
I thought it might go through the boss, mate. As in, like, I was
hoping I got a phone call saying that there was $10,000 coming my way, but
yeah,
of course
no,
that didn't happen. So the players decided between themselves how they were going to divvy it up, and they managed to divvy it up quite evenly between the players and enjoy it in their own way. So,
yeah, that's brilliant.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
Really taking the game away here, the Burras. The second pair's just come out and basically stolen the game.
Yeah, and quite right, stolen the game. 32 was a great start. The Morphett Vale Sharks really needed to restrict Strathpine to a much, much lower total than what we're looking at the moment, which is 43. I mean, we could be looking short of a 7, which I don't want to make life even harder for Morphett Vale, but I kind of wouldn't mind seeing a 7. To see a skin of 50 would be extraordinary.
Nice ball of the skin. Cameron Boyce on strike. And gets 3 instead. Pretty bloody good pair, that is.
Yeah.
43, 46, coming in second, just taking the game away. Fantastic.
And look, they could almost declare now if that was such a thing in indoor cricket. 78 plays 76. So I would ask you what you think might happen in the remainder of this game, but it should be pretty easy. Who's your money on?
Well, I think the Burras are looking pretty good now. I can't see them not taking this one out.
I reckon you might be right. Well, Brenton Bryan, thanks so much for stopping by the commentary box. You are forever welcome in here, by the way. So please, I can say, folks, that he comes up very humbly and very shyly and kind of offers his services. Always welcome. And if there's ever an opportunity to have you in here, we get you, to be quite honest, mate. So thanks for coming by.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Well, as Brenton Bryan hands over the cans to Cameron Walter, it is so good to have his insights in the commentary box. It's a real treat and a privilege and a pleasure to have him here, and certainly Cameron Walter and myself are more than happy to pass over the cans to someone of his caliber, I should say. And talking about passing things over, I'll take my sweaty hands off the anchor roll that I've snaffled away for a handful of overs. I've got into my groove, but more than happy to work cooperatively again with my good friend Cameron Walter.
Thank you, Lowy. It's good to be back.
Oh, that sounds normal again. A voice that is familiar. It's like home.
Now what happened? I took off for 16 overs. I came back, and the game's all but over here. The Burras have taken the bull by the horns here, have they not?
They absolutely have, and seriously done so. That second batting partnership, 46, which is the largest batting partnership that I've seen in any of the games so far. As we look around at some of the other scores, it looks like the Eastern Shore Bombers are on their way. They're 78, chasing 93 for a total in the game behind us, which is a pretty interesting one. The Northcote Knights possibly going to be done by
Vicky Point,
the Victoria Point Vipers. They're chasing 21 for victory now with 5 odd overs to go. So it's action aplenty, but this game here, well,
it's all over bar the shouting. The Burras too good, took control with the ball and in the field in sort of that middle period there in the first innings. And, well, they've cashed in off the first 8 overs so far. The only question now, I guess, Lowy, is whether or not they'll take max points from this.
Yeah.
And if they do, they're looking really good for a grand final, well, at least a semi-final appearance, the Burras. Good chat with Brett and Brian, I assume?
Yeah,
some good insights?
Some really great insights. Talked about the upcoming tour of New Zealand with the Trans-Tasman sides. And also individually, of course, he made the Australian over 40 side, which will be touring to South Africa. So it's brilliant to get that deeper understanding of the sport, and he's got a wonderful insight, and one of the people who's a real student of this format of the game, really studies it, really does a deep dive and watches very closely the players that do well, so he can learn things to impart that knowledge onto the players below him. So it was brilliant, to be quite honest with you.
Oh, very good. Well, 4 runs from the 9th over has this third pair underway. They're looking good already to chase what is the lowest skin of the game here in the final round of day 1. Plenty of action so far, but we're just getting started, Lowy. Big day tomorrow, lots of content coming from Action Indoor Sports Toombul. Coverage kicks off from 10 a.m. Eastern Time with the women's game. We've got 3 women's rounds and 2 men's rounds tomorrow. Again, it's all from 10 a.m. Eastern, so if you're heading off to bed early tonight, be sure to join us tomorrow. We certainly do enjoy your company throughout all the action here, and we hope that you are enjoying the coverage. Again, brought to you thanks to our broadcast partners at Sportscast Australia. The challenge for the Burras now, Lowy, bank these last 2 skins. This one you'd think they can pocket pretty easily. They're only chasing 5 and they're on it at the moment. That last one will be the final challenge in this game. Bank that extra point, make it a 7-zip victory, and put 1 foot in the semi-finals. Yeah,
we've spoken about it during the broadcast this evening, how so critically important the skins are in the final series. You lose a game, you lose 2 games,
you're toast.
You're really up against it. So the skins are of absolute importance. The next time that the Burras will be taking the court won't be until 4 p.m. tomorrow, so they're going to have plenty of time to have a rest and get ready for what's coming up.
It's a shorter day for the men's, as you say. Bit of a rest day. There's a couple of teams that have had the 3 and then only 1 tomorrow. Fortunately for the men, we'll know at about 5:30 tomorrow, perhaps even before, what the semi-final picture looks like. So they'll be able to plan for semi-finals, which take place at 10 a.m. on Sunday, followed by the grand final at 2 p.m. Exciting format it is, all the finals from around the country. well, champions from around the country, finalists from southeast Queensland. We mentioned earlier in the broadcast from this match, the Burras runners-up in southeast Queensland, and here they are looking the goods so far. It would be very interesting indeed if the only team that aren't here as champions walk away as the national champions.
Yeah, a small part of you kind of wants it, but the other, I'd also kind of, I don't like to see it, but it'd just be an interesting anomaly if the two Queensland sides played in a final. It is possible to happen. It's unlikely, but it is possible.
It is possible, is it?
Yeah, well, they're on both sides of the draw, so providing that they both finished either first or both finished either second, they would be able to do that. If they finish one or the other, then it would crisscross and meet at that 10 a.m. semi-final. But if they both finish in the same position respectively in their pool, providing it's first or second, then it's a possibility.
Well, I don't think anyone else, well, any of the other states and territories would like to see an all-Queensland final.
No. And let's not forget about the Northern men as well, the Mackay Magic.
Yeah. The very first year it was all Queensland. It was Wynnum and Townsville, I think, in the final. No, Seaman Snakes. Townsville went down to Snakes in the semi. Yeah, you're right.
I think it was by a run or something as well. It was something very, very close.
Yeah. Which was funny. The timing of the grand final was changed in order to allow Townsville to play it because they had early flights back to North Queensland. They didn't make it. So there you go. Best laid plans. One over to come in this pair. The skin well and truly done and dusted. The other thing I think for the Burras here is not just to get these last 2 points, but also how far can they go in terms of putting a big total on the board. 80 or 90 tends to be par in the men's division. They're 97 already, looking good to put on, well, it's got to be said, probably 130, maybe even 140. What sort of a statement would that be?
Yeah, it'd be sending a shot across the bow of all the teams here. And, you know, to a lesser degree, I don't think for and against will probably come into it. It'd be pretty unlikely with the small pools that we've got, 5 in each. I mean, 10 teams is big, but splitting it into 2 obviously makes it a bit smaller. But, you know, who knows what for and against might do later on down the track when you're playing for a competition total of $46,000. In this division, if you reach the grand final, there's $15,000 up for grabs. You don't want to leave anything to chance.
No, it's a fair bit of money. Be tempted as the captain to take the big novelty check and run, wouldn't you?
Yeah, well, I've already had my eyes on the big novelty check. They're downstairs, securely behind a vault, 3 inches thick glass.
Legal tender, is it?
Oh,
big novelty check.
There's 2 massive blokes in there with shotguns. Oh, it's hot property. But I've seen the novelty check, so look, who doesn't love a novelty check, mate? I've never had a novelty check for nothing.
It's double negative there, mate.
For nothing.
But, yeah, well, novelty checks are
they're pretty cool.
They're handy, especially when they've got 10K written on them.
Yeah, that's it.
3 to come in the 12th over. Still 3 to come after that delivery. He's spilled down leg side from Jamie Henwood.
And with the greatest respect to the next 3 deliveries of this over, it's not of any super great interest to me, but what is of great interest to me is the last 4 overs of this game. You know, no matter what happens here with the last 2 balls, whether they hit 7s or 5s, they get out, it doesn't really have any great consequence. But the next 4 overs are critical. That 24, and it's a tricky skin to get as well. It's right on the cusp of what you'd expect as a par total for a usual batting partnership, but we're not talking about a usual side, I guess. 32, 46, and currently 30, the first 3 batting partnerships. So maybe they'll do it with relative ease. Who knows? Don't forget also that Morphett Vale get to select a batter. In your absence, there was an injury. Chris Boyce was taken from the court. Harry Tonks came onto field.
So, yeah, it'd be interesting to see who they select. Jamie Dean of the Morphett Vale Sharks skipper seems to have made that decision. He's just let one of the Burras batsmen know what's going on. Ladies and gents, stick with us. 4 overs remain, 1 skin on the line here. It is the National Indoor Cricket League final series, the men's division taking place right now. It's Pool B, Burras and Sharks. The Burras, well, they've got the game well and truly sorted. They want this last skin. It's Ben Armstrong and Sam Stead. Stead it is, batting twice.
And yeah, and can I say something? I love that, and I thoroughly encourage and endorse it. Seeing batters have to go there for 8 overs instead of 4, get them on the rack, mate. Get them on the treadmill, make them run. Yeah. I do like it. I do like it a lot. I think if there's ever an opportunity to do it, go for it. I think it's great.
Indeed, and just wonder how much the Sharks have left in the tank for this. They probably realised pretty early, midway through that second partnership with on their way to 46, that the game was probably lost, and that the middle 2 skins were as well.
Yeah.
So started saving a bit to try and take this last point. Of course, they're starting now with the skipper, Jamie Diener. He's put a couple wide as well. It never helps. Quick check in the other games. It looks like the Conquerors are going to take care of the Mackay Magic. It'll be a tight finish, but Conquerors with plenty of overs to play. 61 chasing 62. The Northcote Knights will go down to Victoria Point Vipers in the other court, and the other game,
well, it's done, mate.
Taking place behind us. Looks like it's all over. We'll just, you can see the score there, 95-92. What a result that is for the Eastern Shore Bombers, getting ahead there of the Casey Stars. So a great win there.
Yeah.
The boys from Eastern Shore.
That's huge. Yep. That's massive. Good on them.
Fantastic to see. 1 ball remains in this over. Been a reasonable start for the Burras on their way to this, the 4th and final partnership of the match. Good delivery there from Diener to finish. 6 runs from the over. Skin in play, 3 overs to come. You'd have to think the Burras can do that as well from here, wouldn't you?
You would think. Well, they're exactly on the required run rate, I should say. Exactly where they need to be.
Yeah, of course, if they do stick to 6 and over and get 24, it'll go back to the previous skin, which they've already won. So that's all they need. Quite right. Armstrong on strike. Talking about earlier, Lowy, about the whole right of way issue, and how batters have got to run around a fielder fielding the ball. Gee, if I was fielding, I hope Ben Armstrong would do that to me. Run around me, please.
Yeah.
Otherwise, go your hardest. I'm not fielding the ball.
I'm not getting in his way.
Nope. Now, a little earlier, I sort of gave the other game to the Conquerors, but Mackay Magic are hanging in there. It's going to be a close one, so I'll keep you up to date with that as the Burras continue their pursuit of this final skin. Top ball.
Sam Steed should certainly have his eye in. He's been out there for 5 overs thus far.
You're chipping yourself for calling him Steed for a long time.
Oh,
he did it again.
Does do it again? Yeah. My goodness.
Gee, that one was close. See here on the replay. Oh, he's lucky he got an edge on that. But it will be 3rd ball now, so a big moment for this final partnership. A wicket here will make life pretty difficult for the Burras. Oh. And not sure if that caught in his side net. It did not. It's 7 runs. So instead of making life difficult, put themselves in the box seat. Check it out. Thanks to playcricket.com.au. Lofted shot into the back court for 7 runs. Handy.
Yeah, very handy indeed. It would have been very tight. The official kind of had a look around just to see if there was confirmation if it was a 4 or a 7, but from where the ball bounced back, it's generally a bit of an indication of where it is. But yeah, hits the side net and then the back net, kind of springs back at a 45-degree angle, whereas if it hits directly on the net, bounces kind of perpendicular to the side nets, comes straight back. So, yeah, sometimes a bit of a hint.
And to give you an idea of why we're a little bit indecisive as to what happens when it hits the back net like that, from our position upstairs here at Toombul, we're sort of in the top right-hand corner of the court, to the right of the image you're looking at, so it's pretty tough for us to see.
Yeah, pretty much
when it's over in that corner on the left.
Where the score is, where that score is pretty much where we are.
Tough to see whether it's a 7, but otherwise pretty good view of the game, Lowy.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's, I was having a bit of a chat to some of the umpires, doing a wonderful job today, and so what do you reckon about maybe umpiring from this end for a change? See how it goes. Wonder what the game would be like if the umpire stand was at the other end of the court.
Oh, it'd never happen, would it? How would you?
No, it'd be impossible.
Oh, come on. Just getting some attention to the side net there, as you see. The nets here can come up for to be reconfigured for other sports, and occasionally they pop out of a little shackle. So Burras can afford to be pretty watchful here. They're well placed to take this last skin. Still got 10 balls within which to do it, and just 7 runs, well, in fact 6 runs required to tie it and therefore win it. But again, the problem with being watchful and happy to take a dot is that when they bowl a successive one, you're on 3rd ball. So now they must score. And he runs at 1, catches some side net, and it'll be 4. They move to 22, and the skin looking pretty simple now.
It is, and it's a very bold play on a 3rd ball. To do that, just coming down, and you look at him there on the replay, a steely-eyed looking Ben Armstrong, just with complete disdain, bashing that ball to the rear of the court, and yeah, that makes things pretty comfortable here. And while we're watching the game within the game, that is this 4th skin. Gee, look at that total. It's shot up 132.
Yeah, they'll finish 140 plus, you would think here. The final ball of that over goes for 2. A move ahead in the skin, score. The total is 134, and too good have been the Burras. Can confirm now that Victoria Point have defeated Northcote in the other match, and the Conquerors 13 runs ahead of Mackay with 8 or 7 balls remaining now, so they should get home from there, and the Strathpine Burras should make it 4 skins to none with a convincing win here. 6 balls separate us from now, and that result, umpire gets us back underway. Armstrong on strike. Straight back to the receiver, to Dot.
So the way things are panning out here due to a Victoria Point Vipers loss earlier on, if it does end up anyway, you probably suspect it would be a Strathpine finishing on top. I'm not saying they're going to finish, but if it does go kind of the way that those two teams would be expecting, best case scenarios with wins all the way through, you'd expect to see Strathpine finish number 1 and then Victoria Point finish number 2 in their pool, which would mean those two guys would be playing off in a semi. Because, yeah, Victoria Point obviously going down earlier on today to the Raptors.
Oh, they're having a bit of fun now, the Burras, and this is turning into a little bit of a landslide. 148 runs on the board in a 6-ball over game. Phenomenal batting here from the Burras. Fairly fortunate to get away with that. It's following on from a great performance in the field as well. Victories don't come much more convincing than this one, folks. 1 ball to come. Will he have it again? No, he will not. Leg side to finish, and 150 runs on the board for the Burras, defeating the Morphett Vale Sharks. 76, comprehensive victory that it was to finish off day 1 here at the National Indoor Cricket League final series for 2019. Gary Lowe, what can you say about that?
Well, that's just an old-fashioned spanking, that one, isn't it? 150 to 76, and I echo your sentiments, convincing with the bat indeed. Some of those skins, 46 and 42, my goodness. So, yeah, Strathpine, they're going to go very deep into this competition. You'd expect to see them at this rate playing a semi-final match on Sunday.
Now again, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a solid day of action here from Action Indoor Sports Toombul. The action, I've said action a couple of times there, but there's lots of it, gets underway at 10 a.m. tomorrow, 10 a.m. Eastern time that is, with the women's division. 3 rounds of women's games tomorrow, 2 rounds of men's. We hope you can join us then. But Gary Lowe, it's been a wonderful start to the National Indoor Cricket League final series. Thanks so much for your company today.
No worries, mate. Yeah, it's been a brilliant first day, and I can't wait to sink my teeth into tomorrow. It's going to be awesome.
Now, ladies and gentlemen, right around Australia, around the world, thank you for your company. We hope you have enjoyed the coverage from Action Indoor Sports Toombul. Thanks again to our broadcast partners at Sportscast Australia, the official ball supplier in Burleigh Seacombe. Until tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. Eastern time, for Gary Lowe, the team at Sportscast Australia and Cricket Australia, I'm Cameron Walter. Thanks for watching.